What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Scouting Combine here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you give us a like and subscribe, and keep us on this show. Today, we're going to be talking about the Miami Dolphins defense. We know the Miami Dolphins offense has been revving, has been humming up to high standards, but it's time to talk about the defense. Just some of the struggles they've been having, but some of the strengths that they have been showcasing that haven't been shown up in the stat sheets, but that does show up in the film. Today we have 3 yards per carry. Alfredo Arteaga here to lay down the groundwork for tonight's yard work. Alf, how we doing today, my guy?
I'm doing good. It's interesting that we're going to do the defense because I've been watching a lot of defensive film for the last 2 weeks, really, and a lot the last 2 days, trying to figure out what's going on with this defense and where they're going to go going forward.
Of course, before we go ahead and start the show, I want to shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Alf, so kind of you to wear our sponsor's hat on the show today. It's Daily Fantasy Simplified. Sign up now to claim up your limited time offer. Again, the code is 5 FIVE 5. So, Alf, what have you generally noticed over the last 5 weeks that the fans are saying, but something that shows up on film that nobody notices?
It's I think how as much things have changed, they kind of remain the same. They're still relying a lot on their man coverages, but I think that the team going forward is going to be more quarterback specific because they really were completely out of character to what they want to be, or at least what I've been told that they want to be against the Chicago Bears. But I think that had more to do with Justin Fields than anything else. The most baffling tape of them all, I believe, is the Detroit Lions tape, and maybe just Detroit is just so good, or they're the team that we saw the first 4 weeks where they were the best offense in football, that they just defeated our coverages that day. Maybe that's the issue in that Detroit game. But I'd be really interested to get a second look at some of that Detroit tape because I think that was the most instructive tape of the entire season.
I think just that Detroit tape itself lends of on the skill set of the Detroit Lions offense and how it has a mismatch. It has a mismatch about our defense as well. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You had T.J. Hawkinson there. Goff, he's not an elite quarterback, but he can get the job done. And in a pretty good running back duo. And I forgot who their play caller is, but I mean they were pretty good. They were pretty good. And as we are on the topic of the Lions, I want to talk about, just something you and I have both noticed, especially right here, the Detroit Lions, they're in 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, I believe. I think Hawkinson is isolated on the outside. He's the X on the other side as the tight end. Now they're in a bunches look right here, Alf. And usually in a bunches look, the corners have to change up their responsibilities as there could be multiple pick plays. There could be a crossing route. There could also be a screen as well. So they have to watch out for a lot of these things. The other thing that, what I've been told on a high school level that you have to watch out in college and in the NFL is that you could be playing zone coverage up against a bunches look. You could be playing sky or you could be playing fire zone. However, pre-snap, this looks more so like of a man look to me. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's more of a man look. And, if you're the quarterback and you see something like that, you see the defense align themselves like that, it looks like man, right? Usually, if you're playing zone against the bunches look, you're going to see that the farthest outside corner is going to be in inside leverage. Or, no, I'm sorry, he's going to be on outside leverage, and then he's going to call the safety down to take the short zone. And then they're going to work it from there.
And if you can see the safety right there, it looks single high pre-snap.
Right.
It looks single high pre-snap. And
Holland is in that slot. Holland is in that slot, and obviously he's going to be counting, or he's going to be counting the numbers, which is you always count from the outside in. Outside is 1, inside is 2, and then sometimes they'll call the tight end the 0, or they'll call him the other 2. It's as simple as that. And what Holland is going to do right there pre-snap is he has to organize his guys, okay? Evidently, he's organized one guy in press man And as you see right there, he's pointing at him, and he's basically saying, he's your man no matter what. And then now Holland is going to organize with the one corner, which is the farthest man out on the boundary. And they're going to organize their coverage that way. And he's going to be playing with inside leverage. Oh, I'm sorry, outside leverage. He's going to be playing with outside leverage, and the safety is going to take everything to the inside as it's funneled to him on the inside. It's a way of somehow playing zone, but he's actually organizing it for two guys to play man, and he's going to take the short zone.
Right there, you can see Holland himself, like he's trying to watch where the wide receiver is going, especially up on the inside. You have Xavier Howard following his man on the inside crosser out right here, and I believe that maybe Cater Kohu all the way to the far right-hand side covering TJ Hawkinson right here, and I'll stop.
Mm-hmm. And when you call the numbers, like, and I'll give you an example of what's going on. If we could take it right back to pre-snap again.
Yep.
If we could take it right back to pre-snap, I could show you what he's looking at. Okay, right there, Javon Holland he's identifying, okay, X, you got the man, you got the man press, okay? So he's gonna say something like 2 press, and then he has to communicate with the 1, right? And what he could do with the 1 is that he could assign the 1 to the 1, and he just says, you 1, all he'll say is 1, 1, 2, and then he'll point to his chest, saying that he has the 2. And all that really means is on any switch release, anybody who goes inside, I have, meaning I'm Holland. Anybody who goes outside, you have, meaning the 1, which is the farthest defensive back on the boundary. Okay, so if you run it right here, it's kind of easy to see who gets lost in all of this and who's playing their assignment perfectly. Look at Kohu, what leverage he's playing with. Perfect. Holland gets too deep. Boom. They run a return route, and he's wide open.
Too wide open, lots of space.
Yes. So
and gets way past the sticks.
Yeah, so that's a detail, and that's an example of a bunch's formation perfectly called by the safety, but the one guy who screws it up is the guy that actually called the defense.
And you know who called that defense? That's number 9 right there, Noah Igbenogany. Not Javon Holland.
I thought it was Holland because I saw the orange sleeves. No, it was actually Noah Igbenogany. Yes. So you have the return route, and once you have the return route, you're allowing so much space. You know,
you see Holland is actually the one blitzing.
Could he have called something else? I don't know. It seems like he called the right defense. He had Kohu in outside leverage. So I don't know. It looks like it was perfectly called. He allowed too much space.
The pressure was pretty much getting there. You can really see you see Jaelan Phillips right there as a 3 tech. Emmanuel Ogba looks like he's playing the wide 9. Same with Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram is just right over the slot, just a teensy tiny bit, which gives you the indication it's a wide 9 look from the defensive side of the ball. You're going to have Javon Holland blitz. You're going to have Jerome Baker blitz, and I believe that is Christian Wilkins, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's Big Wilkins right there. Looks like a stunt play from Jaelan Phillips as he's working outside inside. Javon Holland gets the free release. He loops coming from inside to outside to get that pressure up there. Goff releases it just in time. And as you can see, Noah Igbenogany just gave him too much space from that bunch's look.
Yeah. And by the way, if you could run right back to the snap on the rush, Holland does this wrong. If you watch this, it looks like it's an eagle front. And we know we have a twist, right? We have a twist with 0 and with let's get back. All right, I'm looking at it right here. All right, we have a twist with the 0 and with Baker, who is lined up in the B. Okay, so and let's call him 1B. So 0, 1B, they're gonna twist.
He's in the B gap. He's in the B gap for sure.
So it's basically what's called a 0. It's a 0B twist, right? But Holland, since he's gonna blitz into the other B gap, okay, he has to press on the 0. Now, if you run it, he loops, and DeAndre Swift sees him the whole way, picks him up on the blitz. Mm-hmm. Like, notice how he's off the line. He has to press. He has to press and then come around. He doesn't press. He completely loops, and as he loops, DeAndre Swift is waiting for him in the hole. So that's poor execution right there on Javon Holland's part. A good call by Noah Igbenogany. Poor coverage by Noah Igbenogany. Out of 3 important things that had to get done on this play, they screwed up 2 of them on execution.
Now, you want to look at another bunches formation look?
Sure. Because they cover this a lot of different ways, and they've always covered it the same way for 2 years. I've noticed as I've been digging deeper the last few weeks, they've made some changes as far as how they cover it. This latest way that they covered it against the Bears, I probably tend to throw it out because it was Justin Fields. They played him a little bit differently, but they're playing it a bunch of different ways, and they're taking their lumps as they're learning how to do this and how to cover these bunch formations.
Here we go right here. The Vikings are – that looks like Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, Ish Smith Jr., and Justin Jefferson. It's a 3-by-1 bunches look, 11 personnel. Dalvin Cook is the running back. Can't tell what kind of front that is right now. It looks like to me – I apologize for the blurry screen. I think Phillips is the 3 tech with Wilkins as the 1. I think on the edge it is Agba, if I'm not mistaken. No, that looks like Andrew Van Ginkel. Can't really tell the front right here, Alf.
Yeah, although that's not going to matter because I think what matters here is the coverage. Mm-hmm. And like if we're running it right here, we're looking at the coverage. All right, we're coming up, and it looks like they're going to cover it pretty much the same way that they covered it against the Lions.
Go ahead, roll the tape, and pause. I'll roll it again one more time. As you can see, you have what looks like Eric Rowe, Xavier Howard, and I want to say Justin Bethel, but I'm not mistaken. But you can see who gets lost in the sauce. Boom. 2 guys bump into each other, basically. And Justin Jefferson has an easy release straight off the line.
And they seem to have covered it the same exact way, which was 2 takes 2. Let's run it right back to the snap to see who's actually making this call here. Okay, at the snap, I'm trying to figure out who's making this call. You say there's an adjustment there.
Right. That's X making the adjustment right there.
Okay, and that's with Irv Smith, right? Am I correct?
No, Irv Smith is actually in this slot. Justin Jefferson is all the way.
Who's that who just moved into the slot? That's 84. Isn't that Irv Smith?
Yeah, Irv Smith is in the slot.
Okay, but he was in the bunch high, okay? And then he moves, so yes. You see it right there. So now he's in the bunch high. Okay, they're just covering it straight up. It's just man on man. Now you got to allow for a little bit of space. Now you got to understand who you're going to give what to, right? So look, if you look at this whole formation here, right, and you can pause it right here. We have a single high safety. Remember that it's important that we know that, but it's also important that we're showing it to the quarterback. Notice where the ball is. The ball is on the left hash. Where's our safety? He's shading off of the right hash toward is that Thielen up top?
Yeah, that's Adam Thielen up.
That's Thielen. So right there, Kirk Cousins is thinking to himself, okay, you know what? I kind of have this bunch formation. They're going to help up top. I probably don't have Thielen on a fade, and I definitely don't have him on a slant, right? So how are we?
No, you don't, because you also have Brandon Jones who can also play that Tampa coverage as well.
Right, and since we have this bunch formation, they're going to call this kind of straight up right here, right? It's just 2-on-2, 1-1, right? So we're talking about the guy in the slot is in press man, and that's already declared. The guy on the inside should be playing with outside leverage, which we could roll it to see where it goes. He's right. But then what the hell? What the hell is going on in the slot is what I want to know.
Miscommunication right there. They
complete miscommunication. They either needed to switch, and if they didn't switch, okay, meaning 2-by-1, you got to call it 2-by-1, meaning whoever goes outside, you stay outside. If you're the 1, which is the farthest corner, or the farthest defensive back. When you go 1-on-1, that means that you're taking outside, farthest guy outside. 2-on-2, you take whoever releases inside. Evidently, both of them thought that they had the 2 and not the 1. So that's a complete screw up right there. It's a miscommunication by whoever called the switches on and the numbers on that defense right there.
I think there's been a lot of miscommunications in the secondary, especially with Byron Jones being out. I mean, he was the number 2 guy out on the boundary or the play side, wherever Xavier Howard was following the number 1 wide receiver. And I think just that experience hurts. You also have Holland, who's not there with Brandon Jones as well. You have Holland and Verone McKinley. Now, we both know that they both played together at college. However, I did get some insight on Verone McKinley playing as a slot and as a safety at Oregon from his former college coach. Excuse me. Basically, at the end of the day, and it's just so funny to say and so hard to say, but they had to hide Verone McKinley in coverage when he was playing quarterback, which is why now he's playing safety in the NFL, that he can actually see everything with his eyes instead of moving and watching all at the same time. I think that with McKinley back there as a second safety, or you switch it up with Eric Rowe, I believe, in my personal opinion, I think the Dolphins need to move towards a 2-high look rather than a 1 shell. While it may not work with your blitzes, you have Jaelan Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Emmanuel Ogbah, Andrew Van Ginkel that can all get home to the quarterback. Not to mention you have 2 pretty good interior linemen in Zach Sealer and Christian Wilkins that can stop the run and get after the quarterback. Now, Alf, we know that this defense has been built on the secondary. But honestly, in my opinion, this shift is going to go to the defensive line. And here's why Jaelan Phillips is going to be that guy. Now, you know what the buck roll is. You know what the will roll is. Can you explain it in simple terms to our audience, what Jaelan Phillips is going to be playing soon?
Well, I'm not sure if Jaelan Phillips is going to be playing it as much as maybe Bradley Chubb is going to play it. And if it's any indication, I think Phillips is going to play almost everywhere, while Bradley Chubb is going to play as the buck. The buck is the old school right outside linebacker. That's all it is. It's an uncovered edge rusher, okay, in 7 or 9 technique, and consistently in 7 or 9 technique. That's all that the buck really is, okay? Usually on a defense, the way you move it across is that you have the buck, then you have a 3 technique, you have the 0, which is the nose tackle, and then you have the left defensive end. Okay, that's
right there. It's this play right here.
It's pretty much it right there. That's the most basic alignment that you could have on our defense. Okay. Now, where it gets really interesting is when you start going with the eagle fronts, the bear fronts, the even fronts, and my favorite, and I hope we have a cut of this, playing Chubb and Phillips together as the 3 tech and the 5 tech. Which
I don't think I could have found that.
I think they had a couple of snaps there. That's gonna be unblockable on 3rd and 10. That's gonna be their thing.
I mean, you got to think about it though. Bradley Chubb's like the number 3 edge rusher in terms of pass rush win rate, and after week 9, Jaelan Phillips is the 11th. He fell down from the top 10 last week up against the Bears. Those 2 guys are pretty much unblockable. They're getting after the quarterback, and it was something I was researching as well. Like the quarterbacks that we have played, their time to throw average has been much less than the other teams they've played, especially up against the Miami Dolphins. It is significantly less, like about 0.2 to 0.3 difference. Average time to throw is usually 2.6 to 2.5 for NFL quarterbacks. Quarterbacks playing up against the Dolphins is a 2.3, 2.4. They're getting it out quick. And you can see it in the coverages. You can see it in the secondary. You can see it in the man-to-man defenses. They're taking the throws 5 yards or less and getting it up the field for yak because our tackling has not been sound.
And that's also a reason why you see so much press man from the Dolphins. They're trying to disrupt some of that timing, especially when you see these bunch formations. They've already tried, like I've seen it like 2 or 3 different ways on how they tried to defend these bunch formations. And against the Bears, it was yet another different way, and that was trying to fudge the switch release by completely pressing the up man. Because remember, since it's a bunch formation, one's going to be uncovered, one's going to be on the line, one's going to be off the line. Right? It's always like a diamond formation. So you try to get to the guy on the line. You try to press him right on the line, and if you could disrupt the timing of that, you disrupt the timing of the entire switch release. So and it allows your pass rush to get home, of course. So it'll be interesting to see how they cover it going forward. Because
all right, let's go ahead and dig into this play. It's basically I believe right here, Jaelan Phillips is in that 9 formation, just that buck roll right here. Go ahead, see the play. It looks like it is Agba, Wilkins, Sealer, and Raekwon Davis. Right, Davis right there is the 0. You have Wilkins and Sealer as the 3s. You have Agba and Phillips as the 9s, and they're playing press right at the line with Nick Needham and Xavier Howard. You have Javon Holland as the single high with Jerome Baker and Brandon Jones right near the line. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
And it's 12 personnel.
It is 12 personnel. And look what Ishmael does right here to try and block Jaelan Phillips. Doesn't even get his hands on him. That's how fast Jaelan Phillips is. He uses his athleticism and build just to go ahead and lean inside so that way nobody can actually touch him. And you try to see, I believe that may be the fullback, CJ Ham. No. Left tackle. Right there. Grabs a sack. We'll go ahead and look at the end zone angle as well and see what is actually happening at the line of scrimmage, what Brandon Jones did to create that pressure. We'll go ahead and look at the front right there. Now, Alf, explain the gap assignments Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker, and Brandon Jones have to do in order for this to be sound.
Okay, the run fits here are pretty simple. Since you have, if you notice, you're going to line up a guy as a 3 technique. You have your 0. And then you have something that looks like a 5 technique, but it's more like a 4A because it's on the inside shoulder of the left tackle. The run fits are simple, okay? The run fits
call it a 3-eye sometimes.
Yeah. First off, you go right back to the top and you see the coverage. Our right cornerback is playing with outside leverage, and he's funneling everything right at our single high guy. So that route is as dead as it can be, unless it's Randy Moss or maybe Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill, who can outrun such leverage, right? But coverage is sound, right? So we got him as far as how we're going to cover this thing with our back end. So what's important now is the run fit in case that they're going to run the ball, right? So if we go right back to our front, so I could explain the run fit and I could tell you what they're going to be reading. Okay, we have the 0, we have the 3 technique, which is in between 75 and 67. We have the shade 4A, which is right off of 71. He's on the inside shoulder of 71. So it's not a 5 technique. 5 technique is head up with the left tackle. So it's shading on the inside. As you can tell, Landon Roberts, he's a fill backer. So he's filling on the either side of the A gaps, which is on either side of Raekwon Davis, which is the 0. Okay? That's what he's reading. That's the key he's reading. Brandon Jones is reading the empty side, which is 86. That's his man. Wherever he goes in the formation, he has to shade. If 86 pulls, he has to pull with him. If he fires out, he has to defeat him. Okay? And then that gets us to the scrape linebacker. The scrape linebacker is Baker, and that's something I talked about today on Twitter where he's being asked to do way too much. He's reading, are you ready for this? 4 keys, while Landon Roberts is reading 2 keys, which is the 2 A gaps, right?
So by 4 keys, he's basically reading the left guard, the left tackle, the tight end, basically,
and the running back,
and Dalvin Cook. that was my next guy.
Yeah, so he has to look at that entire side, all right? And he has to scrape, which means he has to go off of a block, all right? He has to read what the block is doing, and whatever the block is doing.
Read right there.
Okay, he's actually a little late right here, okay? Because right here, what he has to be reading is slant right, which means that he has to shoot that gap in between 71 and 72. He has to get there as fast as possible, and Atlanta Roberts has to fill on the left side of Raekwon Davis. Okay, while the free man is going to be Brandon Jones. So Jerome Baker, it's actually made pretty simple for him. He has to run. He has to run like hell, and he has to scrape and fill between 71 and 72.
Right there, you can see Agba coming off the line.
He cheated. Like if you look at Jerome Baker, that's a gamble. But it's now he was right. Okay, so let's call it for what it is. I guess this is just a very high level linebacker play that he could read that it was a play action, because he completely. If you watch him, he's like, this is not a run fit. I'm not going to fill between 71 and 72. And if you notice, he just stands.
He looked at the ball as well. I don't think Cousins sold that play as well. And when I was looking at the Bears tape, you can tell Fields hit the ball really, really well on those play action fakes.
Because you see Jerome Baker's reading it, and he gives up on it right away. He's like, screw all of this. I'm staying with my fourth key, which is the guy who's lined up right in front of me, which is Irv Smith. So that is Irv Smith, right? 84?
That was Irv Smith.
Yeah. So that's very high level Jerome Baker play, or he completely guessed right and he was being lazy on the rest of his fits. But good play overall. Pretty good play by Jerome Baker, really.
Pretty good play right here. And right here we have Jaelan Phillips in 3 technique, and it looks like Baker is filling in as a 3, but I do think he's going to come back in coverage, and Agba and Ingram are playing as the 9, and you have Wilkins as the 0 as well. You have Eric Rowe, Jerome McKinley, Javon Holland, Nick Needham, and Xavier Howard in the secondary. This is bunch formation again, 11 personnel again.
And if I'm a quarterback and I'm looking at this, look how they're covering it now. There is no press on the line, right?
No,
and it's kind of obvious that we're cheating for outside leverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's zone. Okay. And it actually looks like 2-man under zone. If I were to guess, the guy that's farthest on the inside, sure enough, he's leaving with his man. Pretty good disguise. Pretty good disguise here.
It's really good design. I mean, he got the ball into the pocket where only the receiver could have it, but he didn't bring it down because of just Brandon Jones's fucking hit stick.
Yeah, pretty good design on the coverage. Pretty well played. Now, as far as this rush, let's take it to the rush. So I want to see what Jerome Baker does here, because he's supposed to press. He's supposed to press and then release, right? But does he doesn't come here on the blitz.
No, he does not.
But he's supposed to press. Not good enough. I'd rather see him make contact with 67.
But look at 67. He's still trying to watch what Baker does, and this gives up a whole lot of space for Jaelan Phillips to come in.
So it actually serves its purpose, but I still would like to see Jerome Baker hit 67, then get out of there. This is pretty good defense right here. Like, this is very well played.
Just talk about Phillips. Like, yes, he's second year, but one thing that was a knock on him, in my opinion, was that he didn't have the bag. And what we call by the bag, he's only got a bull rush. He converts speed to power. But where's the spin move? Where's the up and under? Where's the rip? Where's the chop? He hasn't fully developed that yet. But I do believe him playing the 3 technique, he'll solve those moves. I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the power, he can convert it. But playing as a 3, in my opinion, will help him build that technique, that skill set. And it also helps to finally have a guy like Bradley Chubb who has all of those moves.
And by the way, that's KJ Osborne running what looks like a dig. That's why you play with outside leverage, okay, and you funnel it right into a safety, because that's what happens. Ball's on target, and it ends up getting dropped because pretty big hits coming. Very well played. Like this is a perfect example of all that you want. Like this is what you want. Like this is perfectly played by everybody. The only thing I would have liked to see differently is I would have liked to see Jerome Baker hit 67. Make it look good. Make it look like you are coming. You know what I mean? Like get it press, get your hands on 67, then get out of there and pick up Dalvin Cook.
All right,
It
now
might be a
on
gamble,
to.
but it's a gamble worth taking.
I think that there have been a lot of gambles, especially for this Dolphins defense. I don't think it has worked out to what everybody has seen, but on these little tiny plays that gain minimal yards, it's working. And I do think this defense is going to change. And I mean, Josh Boyer said it today in his press conference. Now we're going to really start to hone in, start to fine tune in on these third downs, getting off the field. The Dolphins are pretty much one of the worst teams in third down percentage. They're, I believe, the fifth or sixth worst in passing EPA. Contrary to popular belief, they're ninth best up against the run in terms of EPA per play, and I believe fifth best in success rate, gaining 5 yards or more per play.
What I always cared about, and I've cared about for almost since I've been tracking this stat. Let me see, it's 2022, so it's almost 20 years now, is passer rating against and then passer rating for. Dolphins actually are somewhere around plus 15. Don't quote me on that. And being plus 15 puts you right in that upper echelon of championship teams. Like it puts you right there in the upper echelon of Super Bowl winning teams, of conference finalists, okay, over the last 20 years. But it's all Tua Tagovailoa driven, because the defense has actually been awful this year. Had this defense been like last year, I don't have it in front of me. If you could look it up, that'd be awesome. What was their passing rating against last year? If you could compare it this year to last year's, we're talking about somewhere around plus 30. That would have made them maybe, I don't know, an undefeated team right now, since it's correlated with wins. So you're talking about one of the better teams of the last 30 years, maybe. And that's just combining last year's defense with this year's passing offense, this year's offense. So, yeah, they gotta improve. And once they do, they could really, really take off.
Yeah, I can't really find it. I can only find completion percentage and stuff. Can't find it right now. Let me see if I can go to RBSDM. The defensive, I can find drop back per EPA per play, but not passer rating. I don't know if that'll work.
Nah, passer rating against is the key number. I believe it's 101. I think it's what they're giving up, which puts them at plus 16, which makes them like, like you tell anybody, hey, plus 16, but most people are thinking, okay, your quarterback has a 105 passer rating and your defense is giving up 90, you know what I mean? And you're like, whoa, that's pretty good, right? No, it's different. Your quarterback has a 117 and your defense is giving up 101. That's not good. That means that it's completely driven by your quarterback.
By your quarterback, which has been good, but the defense also needs to step up. Now, this game plan up against Justin Fields and the Bears was pretty vanilla. Coverage wise, run fits was pretty simple, but just the threat of Justin Fields' leg, especially along the middle of the field. And, when I was watching these fronts, they were giving up so much at the 0 and A gaps as well that Fields had all day to pretty much basically run right here. Go ahead, run it. Soldier Field all 22 is not the best. Let me tell you that for sure. Go ahead. It looks like 11 formation, 1 tight end up in the slot, 3 wide receivers. You have Kader Kohu, Keon Crossan, and Xavier Howard, single high safety. And funny thing is, this is probably one of the first plays I've seen Channing Tindall impact the game, because he's actually the spy on this play. You see him trying to watch Justin Fields. You see him reading his eyes. Coverage is great. I mean, I don't know where Justin Fields can throw because the pressure is getting to him, and he's rolling out in the pocket. Now, the thing with Justin Fields, even though he doesn't throw down the field that much, he has a very high ADOT, which is number 2 or number 3 in the league. I believe it's over 10 yards per pass attempt. And he also has the longest time to throw because he's extending plays with his legs, which is what absolutely killed the Dolphins defense. When was the last time, Alf, that the Dolphins succeeded up against a mobile quarterback besides Lamar Jackson?
Never. Against Lamar Jackson last year is all I can remember. Against a mobile quarterback, man, we're talking about not in this incarnation of this defense, okay? Meaning not 2020, 2021, 2022. They haven't had any success whatsoever against a mobile quarterback. It's just not happened.
And but how do you solve it though?
Well, you solve it by having proper technique. If we could take it right to the beginning, right to the setup. Okay, if you look at the setup, right? If you're Justin Fields, remember a quarterback does not read the spy. Like that's good right there. If you could hold that. A quarterback does not read the spy. Okay, he never looks at the spy. He's identifying the mic, which is the center of the defense, and he's looking at the safety. He's not doing anything else. Okay, the way you play spy, and at least the way I was always taught it, and the way I taught it myself, is that you're lining up 7 yards from the line of scrimmage, you're mirroring the quarterback, and you're following him as you close the gap if he takes off, okay? But you got to allow yourself 7 yards. We're lined up at 5, and we have a linebacker lined up at 6, and it seems like maybe they're disguising the spy or disguising the mic since they're playing them even. That's completely even front. Like, if you look at that front and Justin Fields is up there, he's like, these guys have to be joking because they're essentially playing a playground coverage against me. You know, I'm throwing against this thing and I'm going to beat it. Evidently, he couldn't. Okay. But, you know, the spy, as we roll it, watch what happens to Channing Tindall. It's obvious he's now the spy as the snap goes, and he's reading as if we can run it. He moves up and he's playing the technique. We could pause it, stop it. He's playing the technique as if, and maybe that's the way that they teach it in Miami. He's playing the technique as in it's always a 5-yard buffer. And if you notice, he tries to cheat to that hole because he thinks that that's where he might leave through. But now that he's leaving the pocket, Channing Tindall is now in chase. And he actually gets there. But he should have him for a loss. So this is, I guess, the way that they teach it. I don't know. Maybe this is a lot of faith in Channing Tindall's speed. Okay, to have a mirror at 5 yards all over the field.
He is fast. I mean, he played the spy. He played as a right outside linebacker. He rushed the passer. He was in coverage as well. And Alf, you did mention this. You have Phillips as a 3. You have Chubb as the 9, playing side by side.
Yep. Yeah, and you can see how that's just so difficult to block. Like, you know, there's going to come a time, and it's going to come this year, where teams are just going to slide their protections over there because that's not something you can block.
I mean, dude, look how fast he's closing in, though. Look at Channing Tindall's feet. My goodness.
But imagine if he had played this technique at 7 yards.
He would have caught him for a loss.
He would have got him for a loss, or at the very least, he doesn't allow those extra 4 yards. Because if you see right there where the tackle was missed, he allows 5 more yards, okay? If he plays his technique at 7 yards, he gets it. Simple as that. But
So
he plays it at 5 and he closes it completely.
So if you're Anthony Campanile in the field room, do you change this up against a Josh Allen? Do you change this? Do you
against Josh Allen, you don't.
No?
Against Josh Allen, you don't. Against a Lamar Jackson and against Justin Fields, absolutely. Josh Allen, he's fast for a big guy. He's not Justin Fields fast. He is not Lamar Jackson fast. So you can play this technique the same way against Josh Allen, and that's fine.
All right, this was probably the big killer for everybody that watched it, a 61-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, and by the way, let me say something about this because I watched this play 1,000 times, and I tried to dissect it 1,000 times. Everybody on Twitter was saying, "Oh, you can't play man against Justin Fields because then your back is turned. Your back is turned to him." Of course you can. In this play, particular play, they play zone. They play perfect zone, and they have everybody to tackle him. Everybody on the team is ready to tackle him and is in position to tackle him, and they don't. If you notice, Everybody right there is in
This
perfect
is
technique
this is this
facing
is
Justin Fields.
this is. I want to say Tampa. I want to say this is either Tampa or cover 3.
It ends up becoming cover 3, but it's really it's like if we roll it right back, you have a guy in each flat, which is remember that the Bears were trying to take away the flat on us every chance they get, right? And you
Because we
still
were
have two
giving up
guys
those
under.
3-4 extra yards anyway.
So, this ends up becoming kind of a cover 6.
You can hear my sigh as well. I'm like, oh, fuck. You can hear my sigh when I looked at this play as well.
Like, this is actually really, really well played as far as the coverage is concerned, and they are facing the quarterback.
You
like,
basically have 2 crossers. You have a dig and a vert route. What kind of Madden concept style play call is this by the Bears?
It's terrible. I'll say that. And I'll tell you what Justin Fields has to have here. He has a whole shot, okay? But I've never heard of anybody running a return route and a crosser to open up the whole shot in the seam. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, why the hell would you do that? First of all, you're running guys into the zones. Like, why would you do that? That's a terrible, terrible pass concept. And Justin Fields takes off with it.
A terrible pass concept turns into a 61-yard touchdown run by Justin Fields just because nobody could fucking tackle.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Like, if you wanted the right call, you got the right call.
And dude, look, you have Chubb as the 9, you have Phillips as the. It looks like 3. I think it's 3 I think it's 3.
You're talking about Phillips's technique?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 3 tech here.
Yeah.
Although he's not cock 3 technique. Cock 3 tech, which is inside of the 5, so you could call it 4A. Okay. Yeah. So it's like a 4A technique, It's interesting what they're trying. Look, man, this play is like, if you could stop it as soon as Phillips makes contact from the back view, everybody has their gap integrity. It's absolutely perfect. Like, you teach it this way. What you don't teach is missing tackles all over the field. Man. It's just sad. It's just sad.
I think that's what everybody was just mad about on Twitter and Facebook and Reddit, that Josh Boyer didn't have an answer for Fields' leg or a simple zone read or a simple draw concept. You can't draw up designs to tackle a mobile quarterback. You just need to be good at tackling.
Yeah, you can zero blitz. You can do that. That's the only thing.
You could zero blitz, but if you're zero blitzing, you open it up for in this game, the middle of the field was pretty much wide open. You lead that to massive chunk gains, and then you're going to be saying Justin Fields is the greatest passing quarterback of all time afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's man, as I watch their tape, there's no other way to describe it, but it's not effort. That's the good thing. The good thing is that it's not effort. And it's not, for the most part, technique, although they have some issues as far as how they're going to cover certain, especially bunch formations. They got to figure that out, okay? Because they have good tape on that, and they have bad tape on that.
And here's one thing.
It's a missed tackle here, a missed tackle there. And I'll give you an example. Look at their run numbers for the season. And you think to yourself, man, this team,
they're giving out, 55 yards per carry to running backs?
They're well, not per carry. That would be really bad. They're giving up 54 yards per game to running backs.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I meant.
So if you look at all the run numbers, you would say, man, this team does nothing well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would say, my God, this defense is awful. They're actually a really, really good run defense.
I mean,
you know what skewed it? 2 games against running quarterbacks.
Yep.
That's what 100%. Skewed all their numbers this year, because they actually have a really, really good run defense. And that's why I think that they got a lot going for them against what I think is this is going to be a test. This is a really good roster coming in here this week from the Cleveland Browns. But I think that the Dolphins, this is strength on strength. This is the best run offense in the league against maybe the second best run defense in the league.
I'll give them top 10 run defense in the league.
At least. Although their numbers say that they're second right now as far as yards per game?
Yep.
And they're giving up 3.4 yards per carry to running backs.
You'll take yards per game. You'll take yards per attempt. I'll take EPA per play. That's what I'll take. So,
yeah.
What do you think? Do you think the Browns run game will defeat us, or we'll hold it down at the end of the day?
No, I think that they'll have this. They'll have this good. I think that Sunday's game is going to be about how do the Cleveland Browns get to their passing game, because they're not going to be able to just run it 45 times and beat us. We scored too much. It's as simple as that. Their defense hasn't been all that great. They're actually really bad against the run, by the way. So they actually give up a lot of yards to running backs all year.
They do.
So it's about how are they going to get to the passing game, because the Cleveland Browns, more than any other team in the league, play on a schedule. They're very similar to the Ravens in that regard. They play on a schedule, but they're less explosive. I don't know if you have it handy. I've been looking that up all day and I can't find it. Their percentage of runs on first down, it should be high, because what they like to do is that they like to run, pass, then pass, run, play action, pass. They have a schedule that they keep, and it's all built off of their runs and in 12 personnel. So, it's about the key to this game on Sunday defensively. Offensively, you're not going to change what's been working for you. You're going to throw it to your two guys. You've been doing that since camp, and that's what you're going to try to do. Maybe you're going to mix in a few more runs, but that's pretty much it. You're not changing much offensively. You're going to try to score your points the way you've been scoring points. But defensively, the key is how do they get to their passing game, namely Amari Cooper and Njoku if he plays, and how do you stop it?
They're pretty much under-expected when they're trying to pass the ball. It's like when you expect them to pass the ball, they don't do it within at least a 5% variance. I mean, you can see it right there in that charting.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Well, Alf, I know you, Simon, and Chris talked about, just the pregame stuff for the Browns. And honestly, this is a great time to talk about just the 5 Reasons Sports Network programming reminders. Make sure you guys catch Alf on 3 yards per carry, 5 on the floor daily. We know the Miami Heat are playing right now. Catch the Canes on the 6th ring, Pulse of Fins Nation with Louis Sung, Ron Caniff weekly, and the Fawney Yard post game, which will be up right after the Dolphins played the Browns at Hard Rock Stadium. Alf, thanks for coming in and stopping by and doing yard work with me at the Scouting Combine.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, guys, fins up, baby.